On Sports Conversations Malaysia, the man who cries tears of joy with Malaysia's top sports stars.
I think, like you said, it's first-class ticket to any sporting event to watch your countryman or countrywoman at the Olympics, the highest stage in sport.
For 14 years, Ahmad Sharizad Sani has been close to the athletes.
You sort of build a relationship with them, and we still maintain that professional relationship. They know what I do for a living, and I do know what they do for a living, and I respect that.
The man known as BangMed on this sports-centered conversation right now. Ahmad Sharizad Sani is a face and a name familiar to many of those who've been watching Astro Arena over the past decade, perhaps even more. But he's made a bit of a name for himself under the nickname BangMed, as a man whose emotions are there for all to see. And I'm delighted to say he joins me on Sports Centre Malaysia. Ahmad, firstly, we'll get to the Olympics first and foremost. You're a reporter and a presenter first and foremost. You have a ringside seat for the Olympics. Talk us through what went on in Paris 2 short weeks ago.
I mean, I'm the luckiest boy on earth. I get to pay to do what I love. Not many can say that. I think, like you said, it's first-class ticket to any sporting event to watch your countryman or countrywoman at the Olympics, the highest stage in sports. I mean, it's hard to describe. I mean, when you see my emotions out there, it's exactly how I'm feeling, and I like to think myself as the bridge to what the athletes were feeling and to what they were doing, and hopefully I've conveyed their emotions back to Malaysia. I mean, that's all I can say. It's all emotion. It's all 100%. It's all raw. It's all 100% authentic. I mean, there's nothing more to it from my perspective.
Let's talk about the individual performance, though. Li Zhao, he went in, bronze medal. Oh gosh, I think we were all hoping that he could go for gold, but he was well beaten in the semi-final. But his response afterwards was in the bronze medal match was excellent, because he was looking like he was down and out. What makes him tick? Because you spend more time than most reporters with him, and he seems to have a particular affinity to you, because he's been under a ton of pressure over the since the last Olympic Games, I think.
I think he's a maverick. He has a bit of that rebelness to him. What makes him tick is, I think, it's his thought process, his mentality. I mean, if he really wants it on the day, he can achieve anything he wants. Not to say that he wasn't trying against Kunaku Bititsa in the semi-finals of the Paris Olympics. I mean, to give a little bit of context, last season he endured 15 early exits. That's exits in the first and the second round. He was number 2 at the time. And after those 15 early exits, he was out of the contention to qualify for the Olympics. So he fought hard once he was under Wong Tak Meng. He got himself back into contention, not only qualifying at the Olympics, but he got himself seeded as the number 7 seed. And if you were to ask any pundits out there, badminton experts, they wouldn't put him in the top 3 to be at the podium at the Olympics. So I think the bronze medal is it's a fresh start for him. It's a reminder that he is someone that Malaysia could depend on. He is someone that can go even further than everyone would have predicted. And I think it still hurts him that he wasn't able to go into the gold medal match. He really wanted it so bad. I think the motivation for him after this would be a healthier one. Why I would say that? Maybe the headlines, the social medias, I would say, reaction to him going out on his way. I mean, not being in the national setup, being a professional, changing coaches, falling out of love with badminton for a bit. I think it's a reminder that it's a fresh start for him. And he'll be only 30 when he goes to the Los Angeles Olympics. And I'm very confident along the way. There's World Championships, there's the Asian Games. I mean, the world is on offer for him. And knowing the evolution that he went through, I think he's more matured now than he is 3 years ago.
You mentioned one little thing there that I can't let pass, out of the national setup. So he went independent. I don't want you to be a BAM basher, because Malaysia produce very, very good players. But the BAM setup isn't for everybody. What is the difference between being independent and being part of that national setup?
I think it's BM is a pressure cooker in itself. You know, I mean, everything is taken care for you. Your salary, your bonuses, where you sleep, where you train. You have the best facilities. You have the best sparring partners. But you have a lot of people to answer to: the council members, the president of the BM, management, top coaches. Um, I think what Zija has done is not bowing to pressure, but handling pressure the way he feels most comfortable. It's not easy being a professional athlete in Malaysia, let alone in badminton. You have to have a sponsor who really, not only who is really keen to invest in you, but who really believes in you. So I've heard that one of his major sponsors has already committed to helping him in the next 2 to 4 years. So that's good.
I'm going to touch on something a bit earlier than I expected, because you said you're a fan. So first and
Yeah,
foremost, you are a fan. And a little bit of a disclosure here. Ahmad, I interviewed Ahmed to get him into the sport
yeah.
industry. And you were a no-brainer. You are obviously going to thrive in this industry because of your passion, because of your knowledge. But you do one thing, which maybe it's my age, maybe it's my old school thing. You get emotionally attached. And
Yes.
to me, I goes, no, reporters shouldn't do that. And I used to wince at it a lot, but it seems to be getting you an awful lot of good publicity, and the players seem to really respond to it as well. Lee Zhao in particular, he's giving you hugs, he's letting you wear his medal. Now that shouldn't be allowed in my book for a reporter, but you're proving me completely wrong.
I know it is frowned upon. It is what is being taught to me as well. I mean, going back to the interview that I had with you, man, credits where credit due. You gave me my first big break, and I have to thank you for that. But the first lesson that you taught me was, what is the story? You gave me a background, the KL Marathon, and I was yapping around, going this angle and that angle. But the one thing that you asked me was, what is the story? So I've carried that lesson throughout my 14-year career. What is the story? So the story is what I tell in my presentation, or my writing, my reporting, my sideline presentation, is what happens beyond the scores. I mean, beyond the obvious. I mean, you can get the scores now at the tip of your fingertips. And then the second lesson I learned from you is sincerity and honesty, because you've been very honest with me. You tell me as it is, and that is what I practice with the athletes, especially the shuttlers. I tell them firsthand, okay, I'm going to do this whether you like it or not. But what is your side of the story, so that people can judge you at the end of the day fairly? You have my perspective, you have maybe the association's perspective, and then they have your perspective. So it's the same with Zija. I mean, the advantage would be I spent a lot of time with Zija and his batch, because when I started off, it was Lee Chong Wei, Koo Kian Kiat, Tan Boon Hyong, Chin Hui, Wong Pei Ti. They were stars of the world, so it was a bit hard to be around them or get them to open up or talk to you. And with Zijia, Aaron Chia, So Wei, Go Jin Wei, Tang Jae anyway, I covered them when they were at the World Juniors, and Jinwei before that at the 2015 SEA Games in Singapore. So you sort of build a relationship with them, and we still maintain that professional relationship. They know what I do for a living, and I do know what they do for a living, and I respect that. We're close, but we don't spend each and every day texting each other. So yeah, but when we talk about showing emotions, I mean, for me, it's very hard not to. I mean, it's always about them. It's always about the athlete. It's
Great
not
answer.
about the
That
reporters. Yeah,
absolutely. It's always about them. It's got to be.
yeah, it's always about them. Yeah, I try to tell their stories the best way I can. But after being in this journey with them the past 8 years, I think our stories, my story, their stories intertwine. You know, how I watched them from the World Juniors, from SEA Games to their first World Championship, and now to their first Olympics, and watching them win medals. It's something that is very hard to avoid with. But um, what I'm trying to say is, showing emotion is not for everybody. Maybe that's who I am. But the story. The story is always about them, and maybe the story is about friendship. The story is about brotherhood. The story is about kinship between athletes and sports journalists. Because I think being a sports journalist is one of the best careers in the world.
Absolutely.
It has its own nobility. Maybe that's the story of the Olympics. The story of relationship between athletes and sports journalists.
With somebody like Zizia, who's got success, it's not an easy story, but an easier one to get because it's ended well. Go Jinwei,
Yeah,
you've mentioned Go Jinwei a first time, former world junior champion.
yeah,
She hasn't quite been able to translate that onto the world stage. She's not far off. She obviously went through horrendously
yeah.
last year. Um, how do you tell the Go Jinwei story, and how do you keep positive when you know that she's got it in her to go to the very, very top, but she's not quite delivering at that very top level?
Yeah, I think for Go Jinwei, it's not hard to remind people the hardship that she's gone through, because only 3 years back she had to remove her big intestine, so she can't eat like a normal human being. She has to have medications all the time just to eat properly, like us. So with Go Jinwei, it's always about reminding the hardship is. The hardship is always the hardest when you're not trying. When Jinwei is trying very hard. I mean, she's trying to go into the court and train every day the way she does. If you see how she trains, it's insane. I mean, you can't even believe that she's had major surgery done to her. So I think for Go Jinwei to reach the heights of a former world junior champion, being a world champion in the senior stage is very hard. This is us talking realistically. It's going to be very hard for her. I mean, but for her to play, to be an Olympian, to come back from a mini retirement, that's a success story of its own. Because the reality is, we don't have a women's singles who can lace up her shoes at the moment. That's the truth. So as long as Go Jinwei is our world number one, I'm going to tell her story without being tired of reminding who she was, who she is, and who she can possibly be in the future.
Loving it, loving the reaction. Very,
Yeah,
very good indeed.
yeah,
Singles is obviously there.
yeah,
Doubles. We'll
yeah.
stick with the girls, Pearly and Tina. Gosh, they are they make me emotional for heaven's sake. So
Yeah.
you must be a quivering, nervous wreck when you speak to the girls because they always seem to be in tears at the end, win or lose. They always seem to be in tears
Yeah.
at the end of their contests.
Yeah, because they were so close. I mean, they've already created history at the Olympics. I mean, last year at the World Championship in Copenhagen, Denmark, they were, I think, they were a few points away from winning the bronze medal, which would be the first for women's doubles at the World Championship. And now they were so close to a medal at the Olympics, and they were in a group of death. Who would have thought that they would compete with three of the top women's doubles in the world? They were 13 or 12 in the world at the time, but they were able to go as far as the semifinals, which in Malaysia, we celebrate small achievements, but in its right, it should be celebrated because we've had number one women's doubles before who tried to go as far as they could, but not as Peli and Tina. But to me, the worry about Peli and Tina is time, because they've been riddled with injuries. They've had a lot of setbacks. I mean, I think they're going to face a lot of hardships in the future as well with how the women's doubles are evolving. I just hope that they stay healthy, because at their age it's going to be a challenge.
I want to stick on the Olympics. I know there's much
Yeah.
more for you than the Olympics. You're a football host. I've seen you at hockey. You've done a little bit of everything. But you are most associated with badminton.
Yeah.
The other bronze medalists, Aaron and so wow,
Boring. Yeah.
what a combination! What a thrilling, unlikely pair they are.
Yeah. Back from the dead, who would have thought? The Danes, who are on a resurgence, Astrup and Rasmussen, they're one of the best pairs in the world at the moment. They just need 1 point, but my
2016
God,
was
I
it
think,
four game points, 4 match points.
yeah, I think it was divine intervention. If there was a badminton god, he was at work that day. Because I was holding my breath. I mean, to get to deuce, I mean, okay, it's possible, but to get 6 straight points and force a decider, that is entirely something that is under the dictionary word miracle. So I mean, even Rexy Manaki, our coaching director, admits it was a miracle. But it's a testament to Aaron Chan Sowie as well. When all the chips are down, when they're the only two men left standing, you can bet on them to win medal for Malaysia. And I think they were as well hurt with not being able to get into the gold medal match, because it was a close match between them and the China pair, who eventually won the gold medal, Yang Wei Keng and Wang Chang. So I think when we speak about Aaron and Wei, I have no worries about them going another 4 more years, because they're very special. There's something to them, because when you talk about injuries, yes, of course they have injuries, but they rarely have severe injuries. So again, touch wood on that for Aaron and Wei. They're very committed.
What's
Yeah,
Wojcik like? Because Aaron, you bubbly
yeah,
character, Wojcik comes
yeah.
across as an awful lot more. He's the serious one of the partnership, isn't he? Is that what it's like?
I mean, he is a bit reserved. He's not outspoken. I mean, he's best friend with Zijia and Jinwei and our mixed doubles player like Beijing. So he's one of the quiet ones. But if I mean, he's like the how I would say, the introvert of uh, our Malaysian top pairs. So yeah, but he was very committed leading up to the Paris Olympics. He has the I would say, the luxury of staying out of the academy, but he chose to stay in the compound of the national team for two months leading up to the Olympics. So that shows what kind of person he is. He's persevered a lot, because growing up, I mean, his family wanted to push him to play singles. His uncle is Su Beng Kiang, one of our Malaysian great who won the Thomas Cup. So when they discovered that he was better off playing doubles, and he was paired with Aaron, still a lot were not convinced with them going far as they've gone through, because Izzuddin and Zulfi were touted to be a better pair than them. So now they're in the GOAT conversation, world champions, Asian Games bronze medalists. You have two Olympic bronze medalists. They've won world tours, but yeah, there's still a long way to go for them. And I believe they'll be back in early 2028 as one of the contenders for gold medal.
Mixed doubles as well. We got to a quarterfinals in the mixed doubles. We
Yeah,
seem to have strength in depth in the mixed doubles. I mean, Shevin Jamie Lai and
yeah.
didn't even make it, but so there is a certain amount of depth in the mixed doubles, which is encouraging. But how many genuine world champions or medalists? Because fundamentally, that's what
Yeah.
badminton will be judged upon, isn't it?
Yeah, until mixed doubles is stop being treated as the stepchild of the program, then we'll see quality mixed doubles, because Peng Sun and Liu Ying are still the gold standard when it comes to Malaysian mixed doubles.
Yeah.
So we see Tang Jie and Iwei, when they played together when they were juniors, so they are now being pushed. So now the quandary is when you have talents who play two disciplines like Yap Roy King and you have Chong Hon Jian, they are being pushed to play mixed doubles and men's doubles at the moment. So when do you decide that they are better off just playing one? Because it's I mean, of course, South Korea has proven that you can have world champion in mixed doubles and men's doubles, but for longevity, to me, I think that's not I would say that's not good for long term. So you need a specific uh, talent identification program to make sure that they are not just extras from women's doubles or women's singles and men's doubles that just been thrown into mixed doubles. I think the time for Sherman Lars, Ko Shun Hua, Ken Ming, and Beijing, they're at the end tail end of their careers. So uh, Iwei and Tangier are now the seniors. So who's behind them? So they need to work fast. So in 4 more years, it's we could have two quality mixed doubles players. There were once a discussion before Datuk Lee Chong Wei hung up his record because of cancer. There were discussion, or maybe there were discussions to maybe try and play him in mixed doubles with one of the women's doubles players. So I always thought, if you have had if you have talent, the level of Dato' Lee Chong Wei and another good women's doubles, you can have a fantastic mixed doubles player. But then again, we'll never know now, do we?
Okay, I want to wrap this up a little bit in that you touched on something, the structure behind
Yeah.
what they've. It's always about the structure. The athletes, so long as the athletes are there, the structure's got to be right. And you seem to indicate that you feel the structure is pretty good. What tinkering, what changes would you like to see if in the future? And again,
Yeah.
I kind of think of badminton. People watch when Malaysians do well, when they make
Yeah.
semi-finals and finals, but they're not watching the grassroots stuff, are they? So what can we do to make badminton truly mainstream, other than just when the gold medals are up for grabs?
I think okay. I'm gonna step on some foot here, but if you give me the choice to make suggestions, I would look at how Badminton Malaysia operates around its council members. Council members come from the state; they are the state presidents. Sometimes I wonder what their motivations are. Are they really interested in bringing up this sport? Because I don't see programs in their native states, which is not up to par to how they are being funded, because they've been given grants every year. So the value and the program that we see on paper is not up to match. Like it or not, we need certain or ex-players to be involved, really, really involved, not just being there for for publicity sake. I mean, Dato' Lee Chong Wei comes to mind. He needs to be in the setup. I don't know what position, but if he's comfortable with it, be it on
Is
the
he a good
technical term.
communicator, though? Is Chongwei a good communicator? Would he be able to pass messages and pass tactics and skills down the line? Because I
Yeah, I
understand where you
think,
come from,
yeah,
but one of the
yeah,
issues I have with some of the players is they don't communicate
yeah,
well. The post match interviews, you've caught something because
yeah.
they respond to you emotionally, but generally they're not great post match interviewees.
Yeah, I mean, with Chong Wei, I think he evolved on how he conducts himself post-match. He's gotten better, and he's still one of the best athletes to convey his messages. I think he can communicate with coaches. I think he can communicate with players very well. He is still relevant because when he retired, badminton at this level was the same level as when he last played. So the gap is not as far as to maybe players in the 60s or the 70s, the so our icons or our former greats. So Chong Wei is still relevant. When day-to-day coaching, he might not be interested. I can understand why. It's very hard for players to follow in his footsteps because he was the first to come in and the last to go out. So I think being someone who is close to the technical department, who's close to Rexy, maybe I think would be very good, because without him, it's already proven that it's hard to bring up a champion. You have Zija who does things on his own, but what about the players inside the academy itself? So I think Chong Wei, if it was up to me, Chong Wei would be in the setup. He needs to be in there because he's still relevant and he can communicate well with coaches and players. When we look at the council members, have a discussion, reiterate what the motivation is, because BM is going to lose Tan Sri Norza as president. Like it or not, he was one of the best presidents I've ever worked with inside the BM, because he knows how to get money. So that is the most important thing. You have to have a president who's passionate about the sports and who can bring in money. So I think that's about it. There's not much you can do with the current setup. I mean, again, it goes back to the state, it goes back to the national championship. Maybe in the future we'll have something back like the Purple League, which is fantastic. But those are the shortcomings that can be fixed logically, I think.
Well, Dato Gnoza's replacement has got a lot on his plate, both in trying to capture that gold and in maintaining the
Yeah.
standard, because badminton is the one that delivers. Listen, Ahmed, it's
Yeah.
been great to talk to you about badminton. I know there's so much more to you than badminton, but this is what you did it. And you've got through an interview without crying, mate. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm with one of my teachers. I want to thank you again, Des, for giving my big break, for trusting me in all those years. I mean, being okay with having an open conversation. Just, I hope you're proud of me
I'm
as
very.
the first day you had me on the job. That's all I can ask for. And thank you very much for having me on your podcast, Sports Center Malaysia. What an app name. Fantastic.
Thank you.